A pleasant good afternoon, good evening, good night to one and all. Welcome to the Monday's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today, Monday, the 13th day, it is the 13th day of November 2023. We are here again for another interesting episode. And as we would always say, just share the live, let people know that we are on. I get a strong suspicion that many of the students are not yet in tune to Monday class. But we hear the numbers are encouraging this morning. Quite a number of students were in the schoolyard when we scheduled the program at 2 o'clock this morning. 2 o'clock, they were here waiting for the commencement of this program. And we are here, my colleague is in the studio, ready, waiting. Again, we have so much to tell you, so much. We have to make sure that we call very carefully so that we bring you the interesting stuff. Some things we have to push back. Not that they are not interesting, but so you got to prioritize sometimes. So we are here this morning, and we are ready. We are raring to go. So many students in the schoolyard. As soon as the school door was open, so many students rushed in to make sure they get advantageous and comfortable seats. Yeah, we are here. We are ready. We are willing to go. Just coming off the weekend, today is a public holiday in Guyana, in celebrating Diwali. I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone happy Diwali and happy long weekend. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. And as we would normally say, it's a privilege to be in the land of the living. A long weekend. So hope you people are relaxed. You had Saturday, Sunday, today, Monday, to relax and to be able to have a productive week. The week ahead should be a productive one. So yes. Again, as I said, schoolyard full. And roll call will be done in a short while, and you will get to see how many students were in the schoolyard. Lots and many students in the schoolyard before we went live. And as soon as we went live, then the students came rushing in, those on Facebook. As I have explained before, once the program is scheduled on YouTube, then those persons who watch on YouTube can log in immediately, and they have been doing so. But the ones on Facebook have to wait until the stream starts live today at 12 o'clock, and then they can come in and they can make their comments on all of that. So we can see all those who are here. And as I've said, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice. Let's be glad in it. Let's rejoice being in the land of the living. We have so much to tell you this morning, so I'm not going to go into too much preamble. I'm going to go straight into the roll call, and then we're going to delve into some subjects that we want to deal with. When we went live this morning at just about 2 o'clock, the first student was the man from the East Bank. Vibort was here. Then Lucius came in next. Wayne, Patricia was very early in class. Felicia, Floyd, Sydney came in. Samuel, Sean from New York, ex-detective sergeant, came in very early as usual. Vibort was here early in class. Joan, Barbara, my squad mate Carlton Lois was in class. He came in at 5:57. Then we had Ruth in class. Derek, Trotty, welcome, Trotty. Vernon, Maureen was here. Ingrid was here from 6:43. Tessa, never miss a class. She's here. Corinne. Then we had Kenneth. Jakey is here in class very early. Pito from Queens is here. Then we have from the UK, Wayne came in very early. Machu. Then we had Ronald. Fort Valley said that he missed a few classes, but he's back. Detective is back and ready to go. He had a sabbatical, which is over now. He came in at 8:19. Then we had Princess from Lamar Springs. We had Monica. Then my squad mate Gaston. Gaston is in Brooklyn. Normally he tunes in from Canada, but I guess he is touring. Welcome, enjoy Brooklyn. And then coincidentally, immediately after Gaston, we have Ulrich Stevens. You might not recognize the coincidence, but let me tell you, Ulrich Stevens, police regulation number, my squad mate, was 9555. And Gaston Taylor, who is just above him there, came in just before him, regulation number, another squad mate, was 9556. So 55 and 56 came in almost together. Then we had Brian Saul, Courtney Saul, and they are related. Just in case you don't know, they are related. Magnell came in next. Aileen in class. Rohan is here. I know he had some issues last week or the week before. Carl, another squad mate of mine, 9414 is here in class. Then we have Marlon Carville, another squad mate, is in class. Jacko from Georgia is in class. Francis Keith, he's still in Pennsylvania. He said next week he should be in Queens. Then we had Emerson. John, he's reporting from class. We also had Patricia. She said happy Diwali to all the people, all persons here. Isabella, Rastaman, not vibration, just Rastaman, not the Bob Marley version. Then we had Stian in class. Keelan is there. Doreen, another squad mate all the way from Canada, is in class. Henrik is there. Ben, Leslie, welcome. Queenie from West Coast Barbies is in the house. Then we have Tilula is in class. Winston, Tilula is from New York City. Winston is from the UK, is in class. Then we had Philippa. Barlett came in there. Evelyn, Ulrich, regular on the program. Clay, another squad mate, Sheila. This program is well supported by my squad mates, Sheila W351. Then we have Kevin, Colin from Queens, Carlisle, Orin from the UK is here, Como from New Jersey, 8218. And then when we had live, we had the secretary, Janice. Then these are the Facebookers. Raul came in. Then we have Ethel on YouTube and Simone, Paul, and yes, many, many students. So let's go into this thing. As I said, we have a lot to go through this morning. So let me finish with the roll call. For now, if we have time, maybe we'll come and acknowledge a few more presents. But we have a lot to tell you about. As I said, happy Diwali. And let me start off on a very sad note. A very, very sad note, and that is to announce the passing of retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Brian Joseph. Brian passed after a brief period of illness Friday night. He was in hospital for a little while, and he passed. Very, very sad. Brian was a good man. And I'm not saying this just because people like to say good things when you pass. Brian was indeed a very good man. Professionally, worked with me for a number of years. And, you know, you can't say anything bad. I have never heard anyone saying anything bad about untoward about retired Assistant Commissioner Brian Joseph. Very quiet, very unassuming individual, very knowledgeable. I remember him as Borbies. He served as Commander Borbies. He was a traffic chief. He was the head of the Presidential Guard with President Granger. He worked with me in a division, Commander, Subdivision 4 at the time. And yeah, he is very, very, very knowledgeable, and he passed. Young age, 61, I understand. I'm going to keep you folks updated on the funeral arrangements, because I know a lot of people will want to pay their respects. Good man. And you know, sometimes it causes you to question, even though we should not. Good man gone. And you got a lot of people who they're around making people's life miserable and nothing is happening to them. But we can't question God's work. He decides when you should go, and when the time comes, you have to go. But you know, they say is the legacy. The legacy. Now, before I even move on, I will invite my colleague, Mr. Conway, to come in and to say a few words before I continue with the other introductions and so on. CC, I know you know you knew Brian, and you would want to say something about Brian.
Yes, good afternoon. Happy to be in the land of the living. Brian is no longer here, but I know him well. I think for the past 2 years, we used to communicate regularly. Excellent police, professional, and as you mentioned, I haven't heard any bad thing about Brian Wells in the police force. Communicate regularly, and then I remember about 3 weeks ago, I missed a call from him, and I started to call his number for a number of days. Couldn't get through. I want to know what really was wrong with him, and then I understand he was in Prashad Hospital, then 2 other hospitals, and he passed away. But excellent, knowledgeable, well-disciplined, and you know, was a model police. But sometimes we say the ripest fruit falls first. May his soul rest in peace. And my condolences to his family, wife, children, friends, colleagues.
Yeah, may his soul rest in peace. And I want to join you in expressing condolences to his wife, his children, his friends, and associates. And as you said, may his soul rest in peace and rise in glory. Now, moving on, I want to take this opportunity to wish retired Assistant Commissioner Paul Langiva an happy birthday. Today is his birthday, I understand. And belated birthday greetings to a few persons. First, Paul Archer, who is normally a regular on the program. I haven't seen him this morning, so he might very well be here, but he has not made a comment. And I can only know that you're here if you make a comment. Paul had a birthday recently. Mark Burnett, old former national cricketer, old police as well. He had a birthday recently. Angela, West Coast Barbies, Angela McDonald celebrated a birthday recently. And Don Prophet, another regular on the program, even though he might not be live, he make comments on the broadcast, the rebroadcast, and so belated birthday greetings, happy birthday greetings to those persons who recently celebrated, and to Paul, who is celebrating his natal day today. You know, recently, on the 1st of November this year, some former members of the force celebrated their anniversary, and they're referring to persons in members of Course 47. Course 47 started from 0684 to 0763. Some of the persons in that squad, including retired woman Assistant Commissioner Paulette Morrison, retired Assistant Commissioner Clay Jarvis, and retired Superintendent John Sayers. I remember them well because I was their instructor. I was the drill instructor on that course. So they celebrated their 47th anniversary at the beginning of this month. I want to say congratulations to them. I want to express congratulations to all persons who recently graduated from the University of Guyana. You know, they had a convocation over the weekend. It was Friday and Saturday. And many, many persons graduated. Special mention to those members of the force, of the Guyana Police Force, who graduated with the various degrees, whether it's bachelor's, whether it's master's, some at the diplomas. Congratulations to you all, and keep up the good work. I want to say at this time a special congratulations to a fantastic young man. And he graduated with a master's degree. And I refer to no other person than the former Sergeant Damian McLennan. Damian McLennan, who was dismissed unlawfully on the 5th of July last year by the extended squatter. He was charged in relation to this Quinton Bacchus murder when the evidence showed he had nothing to do with it. He spent a long time in jail on remand, and the man persevered, notwithstanding the fact that he was there. He continued his studies. When he got bail, he continued, and the man graduated on Saturday with a master's degree. I want you to understand that. So the thing is, if people can also to throw obstacles in your way, it's up to you. It's up to you. And to Damien, who went through so much over the past year, or just over the past year, I say a special congratulations to you, young man, and keep up the works. The sky is the limit. The extended squatter unlawfully dismiss you, and many more doors are going to be open. Many more doors are going to be open to you because you have qualified yourself. First, I'm sure you will be able to prove your innocence, and other doors are going to be open. Much more lucrative, much more opportunities are going to be there for you. So again, congratulations and keep up the good work. I also want to send a special congratulations to the oldest graduate, 72-year-old Pamela Mason, graduated Saturday. Imagine that. 72-year-old, master's degree in education in literacy studies. She graduated on Saturday at age 72 with a master's degree in education in literary studies. So many of you were there, tell yourself that you're too old, you can't do it. Understand, a 72-year-old persevered and graduated Saturday gone. So congratulations to all those people. And the case of Damien and this lady, those are inspiring cases. They must inspire you. So again, let me bring CC in, and then we can move on. CC, I'm sure you want to, as a man involved in training all the years, I'm sure you'd want to extend congratulations to those persons.
Yes, I wish to extend congratulations, and I think they had some, I think a mother and daughter and father and son graduated too. And then I recall a couple of years ago, our good friend Colin Bino, Colin, his wife, and his daughter, all three graduated at the same time in different fields. So, and to all the police who have graduated, I wish to congratulate them, and I hope that others will follow suit. The opportunities are there for them to develop academically and professionally, and they must seize the opportunity and move on to greater things. There's life after policing.
Yeah, that is so true, because there's life after policing. You have to qualify yourself. You have to position yourself. Some people operate as if when they come, whether they're 55 and they retire, or whether they continue to squat after 55, that is the be-all and the end-all. There is life after policing, and those of us who have retired for some time now can attest to that. And the whole thing now, however, is about your legacy and how you live while you were in the force. That's going to determine the type of respect you get, and if you qualify yourself, what type of career you're able to pursue after you have left the force. Another update I want to give you, I remember we informed you that the court matter, the conspiracy to commit fraud, this trumped-up charge, is scheduled to tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 14th at 1 o'clock. My notes say at 1 o'clock. The magistrate is either going to decide to either give a report or to continue the trial. When last we reported on it, I informed you that we went to court on the 31st, only to discover that the state, through the prosecutor Jeffers and Soku, brought a statement of claim. They sued the magistrate. And I think it's because the magistrate decided, and the magistrate ruled, that she was not going to allow further disclosure in the matter. These charges, or the charge, was laid in May of 2021. And at this late 11th hour, they were trying to get to disclose additional evidence, and evidence that they had in their possession all the time. I want to make that clear because some people have said, and I agree with them, that if new evidence came to light, then there's nothing wrong with disclosing the evidence. I agree with that. But it's a case where this evidence they're trying now to disclose is evidence that they had in their possession all the time. All the time they had this in their possession, and then they now decided the magistrate rule against that, and they have sued the magistrate. So when we go to court tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we're going to be told what is the position, whether the magistrate is in a position to continue with the trial or whether she's going to report and perhaps give another date. So we're going to keep you updated. We're going to keep you informed. Let me, CC, anything I missed there?
No, you're quite clear. You had it in details. So
all right. So they people like Ulrich and these people now that tell you, the ICC Cricket World Cup 50 World Cup is winding down. Winding down. We have the semi-finalists now. I think the first match is on Wednesday. One play 4, so there is India playing New Zealand, and then on Thursday 2 play 3. There is South Africa playing Australia. 2 good matches, 2 good lineup there. I like underdogs, I like underdogs. So all of those persons, cricket fans, I've seen many there, Aileen and Ulrich and Jacko, all of these people, Gavin. Let's see what will play out on Wednesday. So far, India played 9 matches, all the preliminary matches, and they won all. They won all those preliminary matches. And so let's see if they will continue the winning streak. They said in 2003, I think it was in 2007, when Australia won both times, they won every single match. They won the preliminary matches, they won the semifinals, and then they won the finals as well. So let's see if India will repeat that feat. Let's see. And people also remind you that not so long ago, with the Amazon Warriors, Guyana Amazon Warriors in the CPL, they won every single match up to the final. And when they reached the final, they fell down at the tape. So let's see what will happen here. CC, I know you're a cricket lover. So I know you've been following very closely. What say you?
I've been following, but a game of glorious uncertainties. Somehow or the other, I like South Africa, but they are the biggest chokers, Since they came back to international cricket, they have not won any major trophy, but they're there, and they could cause an upset. But
Yeah, continuing. We had a little technical glitch there. You went blank for a little while, but go ahead.
I said I like South Africa, but since they came back on the international scene, they have been the biggest chokers. But then cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties. So let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, let's sit back and let's see what will happen in the game of glorious uncertainty. Now, moving on. I want us to discuss briefly this issue with this delegation from the U.S. that is scheduled to begin a visit to Guyana, a fact-finding mission to Guyana today. That is what we were told. A fact-finding mission of U.S. Officials are supposed to visit today. And first of all, if they're, let me welcome them to Guyana. And let me hope that you get the facts. As we have said on this program, Uncle Fraser, the former commissioner, used to say, facts are stubborn things. They are stubborn things, no matter what you do. The facts are going to be there to face you. And I read a statement from the government. The government said that they are not going to, basically cooperate with this fact-finding delegation. Let me read a little part of what they say. I found it very amusing. God has said the government of Guyana notes from publication on social media that a delegation from the United States of America intends to travel to Guyana on Monday, November the 13th, 2023, for a fact-finding mission. Then they go on to say, this delegation and the intended visit appears to have resulted from a conference organized by Rickford Burke, a Guyanese residing in Brooklyn, New York. During the month of September 2023, Burke organized a so-called conference on Guyana in Washington, D.C., to which the government of Guyana was not invited, but which was attended by members of the opposition. It was a so-called conference, and they wanted to be invited to a so-called conference. Imagine that, yeah? And then they go on to say, And this Bork is wanted by law enforcement agencies in Guyana for a number of criminal offenses for which he is charged, including extortion of Guyanese businessmen. These charges are pending before magistrates court in Guyana. They said Bork is charged. Well, this is the first time I heard this. So let me start off by saying, as I've said, I am all no brief for Bork. Bork has been doing an excellent job representing himself. But certain things strike me as being very strange. I recall repeatedly the second vice president, Barrett Jagdeo, on his weekly press conferences. He called Bork a criminal. He said Bork live in a basement. Bork is a conman. He said all kind of thing about conman. But this same basement dweller, this same criminal, seems to be able, according to them, to exert a lot of influence on lawmakers in the United States so they can come for a fact-finding mission. This is amazing. This is amazing. According to them, this man is a nobody, right? He's a nobody. He's no good. He doesn't work anywhere. That's what Bar Jagdeo claimed from time to time. And this man, according to them, because they're saying that this whole fact-finding visit is as a result of what Bork has been agitating and doing. And then they go on apart to say, let me read this part, because I found this amusing too. They say any delegation that is interested in a fact-finding mission, or the problems that Guyana and Guyanese have faced historically and in the recent past, must inquire into the following: fraudulent elections in 1968, 73, 80, and 85, the massive violation of human rights and freedom of the people of Guyana during 28 years of dictatorial rule between 1968 and 1992, the abuse, violence, and killing of forces opposed to the government, including the assassination of Dr. Walter Rodney, a world-renowned historian and a black political leader, and Father Bernard Dark, a Jesuit priest. They say also they should investigate widespread racial and ethnic discrimination between 1968 and 1992, rampant corruption, mismanagement, and racial discrimination between 2050 and 2020. Well, let me say this thing. Let me say this. They talk about massive violation of human rights between the 28 years, 1968, 1992. What happened to the massive violations of human rights between 2000, when you had that jailbreak and the spree, up to about 2008, when dozens, perhaps hundreds of people were summarily killed? The most troubling time in recent history in Guyana was that period. But they're not mentioning that. They talk about abuse, violence, killing of assassination of Walter Rodney, a black political leader. What happened to the killing of their own Saturday Osar in 2006? The Minister of Agriculture at the time, his sister and his brother, and the security guard who were killed. Government never had an inquiry, never had a commission of inquiry to find out, to get to the bottom of it. They blame it on some criminal gang, and people said otherwise. And there was never any inquiry to get to the bottom of the killing of their own minister. Even as recent as the anniversary of the death, the parents, the son, have been calling for some transparency and for closure in this matter. Even when recently Dr. Lunchan was buried and the second vice president made a tribute, and he said certain things which caused the son again to call out for inquiry into the death of his father and these people. So they aren't talking about that. And when you talk about political assassination, what happened to Ronald Waddell, who was assassinated in 2006, January, I think it was. And the evidence in a court in New York, in the Roger Khan trial, it was revealed that it was an organized assassination. A government minister was complicit in that. But they're not talking about that. They're not talking about that. So they're very selective. And they talk about widespread ethnic discrimination between 1968 and 1992. What happened to the discrimination since then? So many public servants since post-2022 have lost their jobs. So many people have had to face trumped up charges, including yours truly, and put before the court. Oh, you don't want to hear about that? They talk about rampant corruption and racial discrimination between 2015 and 2020. The most rampant corruption in the history of Guyana is taking place now. You had a case where a man, and Mr. Conway wrote about it in papers today, a man was able with a stroke of pen to reduce 214 million US dollars to 214.4, I think it was, to 3 million. You want to tell me there is not corruption? And they're talking about rampant corruption? And I'm going to read the mission of the people a while ago, a while from now. Well, let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to have his say on this thing at this stage. CC, I sure you would have read this, man. What is your take? Government and cooperating?
Well, like you, Paul, I hold no brief for Rickford Burke. I hold no brief for any political party. I'm not a member of any political party. And I never voted for anybody since I was entitled to vote in 1973. But I believe in freedom of speech. It's enshrined in the Constitution. And when we look at it, second Vice President Jack Dio, he said Rickford Burke lives in a basement. He's a child molester. And attacking off, he's a criminal. He has several matters before the court in Georgetown. And he also saying that he is the person who influenced or who organized this visit of this fact-finding, we call so-called visit. And even when the first time in Washington, when Burke, yes, apparently had influenced the meetings, the government rushed before. They rushed to Washington before to maybe to try to nullify what would have taken place with the opposition. And now the people come in, fact finding, and they say they're not talking to them. This was an opportunity where they could lay the case, where they're saying, hey, that what Burke and others said, what the shadow attorney general minister said are total lies. Come and talk it. Bring your evidence. If you have evidence, bring your evidence. But no, they didn't talk to them because of Burke. Perhaps it was somebody else. And then the allegations they're making, Paul, you mentioned some. What happened with the killing spree? The period we used to call the troubles on East Coast. At one time, I commanded the East Coast during the troubles, and we used to call Buxton the Gaza Strip. We used to say that the Gaza Strip things happening in the Gaza Strip. Well, what happened with Roger Khan? What happened with the Phantom Squad? And all those killings that take place where the family can find closure for the death of their loved one. So many things happen, all happen under Bharat Jagdeo period of the president. And I know he's trying to place blame on others. They should face the people, but if they want to talk to the people, it gives the people an opportunity to talk to more people, to reach more people. And they're going to get the facts because the facts are right there. And as you say over and over again, facts are stubborn thing according to the late Commissioner Henry Fraser. So I'm not surprised that they said they're not going to reach them. I'm not surprised at all. Knowing the type of people that we have here.
Yeah, but nothing. I too, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And again, here we saying you have a case where allegations are made, and the people pointed out. I'm going to read what is like the terms. Allegations are made. They are coming to do a fact finding. In other words, to hear. So what is the problem? The allegations are made, and they went on to say in one of the releases that the president has denied these things. Yeah, but the people are coming now to find out for themselves, right? But no, they don't want that because Burke, they say, organizes thing. This man who lives in a basement, this man who is a criminal, and you know the interesting thing, and this man who they're referring to a criminal and committed crimes in Guyana has not been in Guyana, I understand, for the past 25 years. The man has not set foot in Guyana for 25 years, but he's a criminal. He extorting businessmen, and he get charges. That is what they're claiming. I have never heard this part about charges before, but they're claiming this in the release, that charges are pending before the magistrate court in relation to this man. If you are so certain of your innocence and that these things are made up, why do you not take the opportunity for go and lay your claims? No, they don't want that. They don't want that. They don't want to be confronted with an opposing view. And as you rightly said, when the conference, this so-called conference that they call it, was organized, they run out in front to meet with the same people in Washington to put out their story. And they are so naive as to believe that the story that they put out, the people would have swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. But no, the people had another view from the opposition. Now, all right, you get two conflicting views. So the people are going to come. They call themselves an independent group, and they are going to investigate what is wrong with that. What is wrong with that? But they can't face up to the truth and hear what the people say about the thing. According to the release from the U.S. fact-finding mission, the decision to visit Guyana was prompted by presentations by members of Parliament Royce Ford, David Patterson, Don Hastings Williams, and Catherine Hughes at the Washington Diaspora Conference, where accusations were outlined by the leadership of a large section of the Guyanese populace. This, in addition to a public missive issued by Ford, a shadow minister of legal affairs, which was published in Kaichor News, as well as calls made by way of a formal request for a fact-finding mission to assess allegations of discrimination, marginalization, and displacement. Then they went on to say, the release noted, and I quote, in a world where equality and justice are paramount, the delegation stand united in their commitment to uncovering the reality behind these allegations. Their mission is fueled by a deep-rooted belief in the fundamental rights and dignity of every individual, regardless of their race or background. With a keen determination to address these pressing issues head-on, the delegation will leave no stone unturned. They aim to gather comprehensive and reliable information engaging with local communities, organizations, and government officials. Further, it informed that the mission aims to thoroughly assess the validity of the allegations and to provide insight on whether Guyana PPP government is in adherence to democratic norms and the rule of law. The allegations of racial discrimination and human rights violations have cast a dark shadow over the nation, threatening the very fabric of the society, the release said. The release go on to say, the release said that it is not an official visit on behalf of the United States government. Instead, it is an independent, unbiased fact-finding mission in which the findings will be compiled and presented to the country of Guyana, the Biden administration, and the United States Congress, also the Congress of the Congressional Black Caucus, and the United States Department. The quote here to say, it is our desire that the outcome of these findings will assist in the commitment to transparency and accountability which free and democratic societies should function, in which they should function. Another release on November the 10th from Dawn Hagler, she's one of the persons on the mission, said it is important to note that all allegations from the opposition have been vehemently denied by President Ali and the PPP government, who have provided numerous reports, documents, and articles to counter the claims. The president purports that the allegations have no merit and are fueled with lies by disgruntled individuals who are trying to create chaos. They go on to say, the release said that the delegation is intending to use the insight gained from these meetings to inform and guide discussions with relevant leaders in Congress and the White House upon their return to the United States. Again, what is wrong with an investigation? Allegations are made. They run out, and the people are fair enough to say that the president has denied these allegations. But so you're going to just take it at face value? All they're doing, they're coming to do their fact-finding, and they're going to interact. They said they intend to interact with the government, individuals, and organizations. I am sure by now that the government telling the individuals not to meet and not to interact with these people. I am sure, because that is their modus. They are not going to participate, and they're going to tell the private sector people, that they should not participate as well. But I can tell you a lot of people are eager to participate and to present facts to the mission. They're a fact-finding mission. People are eager to participate and to present facts. But at the end of the day, whether the government participates or not, the people are going to come, they are going to do their investigation, they are going to submit their report. And I believe that they are missing an opportunity. And the reason why they are missing the opportunity, because they can't defend certain things. As we say, I mean, they put in the release, they're talking about what they're talking about violation of human rights and all of that. There is no other period in this country where people's human rights were violated than in the period under Barra Jagdeo, that 2000 period. People turned every day. You pick up the papers. People were turned up, killed. People were kidnapped. People were tortured. Even a U.S. Representative, Lesniak, was kidnapped at the golf club. Yeah, forget that. Even that. So if you really want to go back, they're going back to 1962. I suspect Jagdeo want to go back to 1899 too with the arbitral award. You should go back all the way there. So the people are going to be here to find out. And I hope that they have the necessary linkages to speak to the people who will tell them as it is. No sugarcoating. Tell them as it is and provide evidence. I continue to say, this whole is not only about saying this thing happened. Provide evidence. You do a little research, you're going to find a lot and lots of evidence. A lot of people in this country are still grieving. People are still grieving for the missing ones, the ones that were killed innocently, and so on. We always remember Shaka Blair in Buxton, executed. And there are so many others. Waddle, I mentioned before. More recently, Oren Boston, at Dartmouth. You had this by Quindon Bacchus. You had the guy in the car, Howard. You had Kevin Andrews. You had the one, the person who said to be aided, who had aided Smalley from the thing. We saw the photograph of the man being very much alive, with his hands behind his back, presumably, and cuffed. And then a couple of days after police released that the man attempted to snatch gun. All of those things must be investigated. What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of? Let me bring you back, CC. Forget this, some comments. CC, what really they afraid of, man? Can you tell me?
They're afraid of accountability and transparency. Those are two words maybe that they don't want to hear at all. Accountability and transparency. Here is it. The people coming in, and it's not only people from Washington, across America, several states. They come in here on a fact-finding. They call it so-called fact-finding, organized by Bork. We gotta be open up. Let the people come, talk to them. You have an opportunity to defend your cause. Don't just say lie. Come up with the evidence. If you say lie, come up with your evidence. But no. They're afraid of what will the evidence that the people would see. But as I said earlier, is that they're giving the opportunity for others to come forward and have discussion and produce evidence to those persons. So let the government stay away. They're giving others the opportunity to come forward and bring the evidence, and then the government can counter it.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, and people, while we are on the live here, some people are putting up names too. Shafiq Bacchus, George Bacchus. They talk about the Ilfoot residents, the people in Mocha, and Crummy Wing, all of these things. They cannot face the fact. So there's the whole thing. They cannot face, because the evidence is there. The evidence is there of all of these human rights violations. But I want you to talk about Walter Rodney. Yeah, we should talk about all of those things. You want to talk about Father Dark? Yes, of course. But we should also speak about Satidiosa. We should also speak about Ronald Waddle and so many others. So many others. I'm going to talk about violations again. They choose a period, 1968 to 1992. What happened to all? If you want to really deal with a period, let's deal with the entire period from 1962 to present day. From 1962 to present day, and then we will see a true picture. And I say again, their own Minister of Agriculture, Saturday Sa, was killed in April of 2006. And no credible investigation, no commission of inquiry, nothing at all. And if you check, they made all kind of statement. They were to get help from outside people and all of that. Nothing like that materialized. I wonder why. Is it that they're afraid of the truth? Is it that they're afraid of the truth? Yeah, somebody said Quindon Bacchus or in Boston. I call all of those names already. So let's see where this will go. But I believe strongly that whether they participate, whether their surrogates participate or not, the people are going to be able to reach with people and to get the correct, credible information. And let me say this. These people aren't fools. I mean, I got something just now with their names and their credentials and so on. They are not going to sit and just listen to what the opposition or what any individual tell them and take that at face value. The people are going to demand and require evidence to support that. They're going to do, I'm sure, their own investigation. And if I know how those things go, they would have already started their groundwork to find out some things. So PPP, the government can decide as much as they want. They're not going to participate. That is not going to stop the fact-finding mission and to report at the end of the day what's going on. And again, let me close by saying, for a man who live in a basement, for a man who they claim to be a con man, the second vice president had said he's a one-man institution, and all of those things are trying to say to degrade and to be derogatory. This man certainly get a lot of influence, according to them, because it is because of this man, Rickford Burke, that the United States fact-finding mission, independent fact-finding mission, is scheduled to arrive in Guyana today to do some work. A man who lives in a basement, a man who they call a criminal, and a man who, according to them, has no influence. They got to decide what they want, buddy. You can't eat your cake and have it. Either he has influence or he don't. CC, any closing remark on this particular issue?
For me, let the fact-finding mission get on with his work, and they will have the evidence. As simple as that.
Yeah, they're going to have the evidence. The evidence is there. The evidence is there. But let me move on. Let's move on. The fact-finding mission will come. They're going to do their work. I suspect the government will put all obstacles in the way. I did not being a fact-finding mission from the U.S., I believe they would have declared them person non grata and they can't come in the country. But they're going to risk them with Uncle Sam people. So they're going to allow them to come. But once they're here, a lot of people who the people might want to interact with are not going to be available and all of that. That is what is going to happen. A lot of people are not going to be available. Some who are available are going to be scared to speak because they're going to be afraid of being discriminated against, because that is the modus. So nobody, a lot of them want to talk. They're not going to talk. At the same time, I sure get a lot of people who are not afraid and who are going to be speaking out and telling the truth, as we do on this program every week. But let me move on. Now, we say repeatedly that Guyana is not a real place. Guyana is not a real place. And recently we saw this news item about the premature release of Bibi Sharima Gopal. And let me walk you through. I can't assume, and I was telling CC, the teacher in me, and us, we the teaching thing, and we can't assume that people are familiar with the details. So I'm going to walk you through this very briefly. Bibi Sharima Gopal was accused of killing her daughter. She, along with a man named Jarvis Small, her boyfriend, right? They were accused of killing her daughter. This thing occurred in around September 2010. Bibi made a report on the 24th of September that our 16-year-old daughter was missing. She made a report to the police on the 24th of September that her daughter was missing. This daughter that they're talking about, 16 years old, was a straight-A student at the Queen's College. And for those of you who don't know, Queen's College is supposed to be Guyana's top secondary school. So this girl was a bright little girl, 16 years old. Straight-A student, Queen's College. Right? All right. They reported her missing on the 24th of September. On the 2nd of October, her body was found in a suitcase on the in a creek on the Linden-Suzac Highway. And the suitcase had dumbbells or 2 dumbbells to weigh it down. But somehow, the body was discovered. Following the investigation, Bibi Sharima Gopal and her boyfriend, Jarvis Small, who they lived together, were arrested, subsequently charged with the murder. They passed through the system, trial in front of the judge. They were found guilty of the murder in the High Court of Guyana. Bibi was sentenced to 106 years, and the guy, Small, was sentenced to 96 years in prison. They appealed to the Guyana Court of Appeal. And let me give the year. That was in 2021. So they were found guilty in 2015, March 2015. The woman sentenced Bibi for killing her daughter she was sentenced to 106 years in prison. And the Small was sentenced to 96 years. That's 2015. They appealed that. And the appeal in 2021, in August of 2021, the appeal was heard in the Guyana Appeal Court. And the appeal court confirmed the sentence, affirmed the sentence, affirmed the guilt, affirmed the conviction. However, they varied the sentence and they bring it down from 106 and 96 to 45 years. 45 years each. Not satisfied with the High Court decision, the appeal court decision, they went to the Caribbean Court of Justice, Guyana's apex court, the final court. And in 2021, August, let me get the dates right, the CCJ, the appeal in 2021, in 2022, the CCJ handed down the decision. They quashed the conviction of Small. In other words, the man got off. And I remember that very well because I listened to the argument and the decision when our DPP made some statement and was upbraided by the chairman of the CCJ or the president, whatever is referred to, Justice Sanders, because she was making some claims and the man had thought, well, how can you say that? The man box you up, as we would say in police language. Anyhow, the case against Small's conviction was quashed, and the court then lowered the conviction. They affirmed the conviction and lowered the sentence of Bibi Gopal from 45 years to 30 years. They went on to say that they were taking off 5 from the 30 for time spent on remand. The court further said, the fourth court ordered that she must serve 15 years before she became eligible for parole. 15 years before eligible for parole. Sometime last week, the news broke that the lady out since August. The lady is freed since August. And I'm going to play you a short tape in a short while. And let me play you the tape so you could gather what's going on now. So she's out from August, and hear what Gordon Mosley reports on the matter. Listen carefully, folks.
Just over a year after the Caribbean Court of Justice reduced the sentence of convicted murderer Bibi Gopal to 30 years with eligibility for parole after 15 years, Gopal, who was found guilty and jailed for the murder of her daughter Nisa Gopal, has been released from prison. On Friday, when contacted on reports of Gopal's early release, Director of Prisons Nicklin Elliott denied that she had been released and told news source that she remains in the prison system. However, when contacted today after new reports surfaced of her release, Mr. Elliott confirmed the early release and sought to explain the rationale for the release. At first, he said that she had been paroled and released from prison. But news source had earlier contacted the chairperson of the parole board, Deborah Kumar, and she said that the parole board had no role in the matter, since Gopal's release or an application for her release was never taken before the parole board.
No, Mr. Mosley, the matter did not engage the parole board, at least not under my leadership, which commenced June 2022. So I am not aware. We have no application for that person before us, nor did the board deal with any application. Nothing. I'm just as surprised as you are.
When that information was relayed to the prison director, he changed his story and said Gopal's release was based on other factors, including the reduced sentence, time served, remission, and good behavior. Mr. Elliott said with those factors in place, there was no need for the convicted prisoner to make an application for parole, since she was eligible for a full release, and it was that full release which was granted.
When her sentence was calculated as the prison time, correct? Yes. So the time that she spent on remand was also included in the order to be deducted. And I think our case profile is on the CCJ website. It included the clause which was attached there.
Yeah, but when these matter happens, wouldn't the case still have to appear? Because the CCJ said she would be eligible for parole after 15 years. So the parole board is saying...
No. All right. Where would she appear? They said she would appear. Where do you mean she would appear?
Before the parole board, isn't that how it works?
No, it doesn't work like that.
So then what is the purpose of the parole board? If she's up for parole, shouldn't she appear before the parole board or send an application before the parole board?
No, so providing if when we finish calculating our sentence, right, and the time remaining in prison, then the person can opt to apply for parole. But if the person's sentence, when they finish calculating, including the clause that they would have indicated, and once her sentence is up, well, then there's no option for her to apply for parole because her sentence is up.
Based on the prison's calculation with the inclusion of time served and other factors, it would then mean that Gopal's total time of remission added up to 7 years, which, according to one senior prison official, appeared very high. News source understands that on several occasions, a total of 90 days were removed from Gopal's sentence. Initially, 90 days were removed for her work with the prison in making face masks during the COVID-19 pandemic. But even after that project came to an end, there were a number of occasions where additional 90-day periods were removed from her sentence after being granted by prison officials. There are also reports that a new prison record was created for Gopal with an earlier release date, thereby allowing the early release. The Nisa Gopal murder case was a high-profile case. The teen's lifeless body was found in a suitcase dumped near a creek along the Linden-Suslike Highway back in 2010. The teen's mother and her stepfather were charged for the murder and found guilty by jury trial. However, they appealed the case at the Court of Appeal, which affirmed the convictions but reduced the sentences to 45 years each. The two took their appeal further to the Caribbean Court of Justice. The matter was heard, and in August of last year, the CCJ dismissed the conviction against the stepfather, Jarvis Small, resulting in his release. But the court affirmed the mother's conviction. However, it reduced her sentence further to 30 years in jail, with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Gopal was quietly released by the prison service a few weeks ago and has been resettling in her Western Marara community. However, the secrecy surrounding her early release, the calculations used for the early release, and the complete shutout of the parole board have raised a number of new questions.
Of new questions. Let me see if my colleague CC can answer some of those questions. Before I go on, let me bring in CC. CC, having heard the narrative and the explanation by the director, what are your views, my friend?
They want to posit that it's a case of miscalculation, but it's a case of pure, naked, unadulterated corruption. I listened to the director, and I know him well. He was a former member of the police force, recruited and trained at the police college B division. I see that they now rename it Guyana Police Force Academy Adventure Borby's Campus. Let me go over Guyana Police Force Academy Adventure Borby's Campus. I know we're talking academy and now we're talking Borby's Campus, but put aside. But he was recruited there and trained 19138 Elliot. And I said I know him well and he's well spoken. He can talk. But here's it. When he was asked about whether the woman was released, he went into the 51st state, a state of denial. And let me talk about the 54th state for persons who might not understand me. In the O.J. Simpson trial, the lawyer Cockrell, Johnny, he said the witness, he told the judge, Your Honor, this witness is in the 54th state, a state of denial. And the judge didn't quite understand what he said. And then he had to explain that the United States has 50 states, and Puerto Rico applied to become the 54th state, and Puerto Rico was denied. So he said the witness was in a state of denial. And here's it. The director of prison, of all persons, perhaps he behaving like the current police, he using the police tactics, lying that the woman wasn't in prison when she was sent away on the 28th of August. 28th of August, and this is November. He said, no, she's still there. For other questioning, he say, hey, that is a payroll board. The head of the payroll board saying, Deborah Kumar saying, no. This matter didn't come to us. We got no application and we didn't think anybody. Then he started talking about calculation. So maybe, and calculation is simple. Add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Perhaps the only thing they knew well was to subtract. So they did real good subtraction, deduct. And then I remember, where the Ministry of Education had a booklet there, exercise book, and they got 312s, 26. Perhaps they use the same calculation, 312s, 26. But this thing, that here is the director of prison, lies and lies and more lies. And I'm wondering if he was covering for anybody. If he covering for somebody. If he taking the blows for anybody, I don't know. And then if you're a director of prison, a high-profile prisoner going out, you must know. No other body, not if you're a deputy director, can approve of you, the person, high-profile prisoner like Gopal, there's on your front board, that's your priority. You can't delegate that. And he's saying that the woman was there. Then he talking about payroll board. Then he talking about miscalculation. He lost a lot of credit. Unbelievable. And I don't, and I don't know if he's covering for somebody, but the whole thing is stinking. The whole thing is unbelievable, Paul. blackout. We get blackout it too. But me backup working. Okay, good. No, he get blackout up there. He just around.
Good afternoon. We are back. They said Diwali is a festival of lights, but we just had blackout. CC had the same problem. I had the same problem. So I just put on the standby to get some power. Just let me know if people can hear me. Can you hear me before we go along? Just indicate if you can hear me, and we will continue the program. People saying on the West Bank, yep. People say they can hear me, yes. So let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to continue. CC, please continue where you left off. Sorry for that rude interruption. But Diwali is supposed to be the festival of lights, but apparently this is the opposite in Guyana. Go ahead, my brother.
I'm saying, Paul. Let me repeat myself that they're blaming it on miscalculation, but for me, it is naked lies, unadulterated lies. When you listen to God mostly, and here it is, the director of prison using his police tactics, behaving like the present policeman. And he was a police too, His number was 19183 Elliot. He was recruited and trained at the Felix Austin Police College B Division. Although recently I see the change in name to Guyana Police Force Academy Adventure Borby's campus. So I know we're on a campus. I know we're on a academy. When he was asked, he went into 54th state, a state of denial. He's saying no, the woman was there. When since the 20th of August, she was sent away. And then perhaps they can't add, they can't subtract, they can't multiply, they can't divide. Perhaps what they knew well was subtraction, so they deduct and deduct and deduct and deduct. And then when confronted with the thing that the woman was sent away, he said the payroll board, and the head of the payroll board, Deborah Kumar, according to God mostly, I heard her voice, she said no application went to her, none whatsoever, and the payroll board didn't meet to discuss that. So I don't know if the director is covering for somebody. I don't know if he's a lone wolf, but this thing stinks about corruption. It's total corruption, and I feel a proper investigation ought to be done, and let the chips fall where they may.
I concur. But let me say this again. This thing is such an outrageous matter. How can the director of prisons not know that a high-profile murder convict was released 2 months after such a release? Because according to what you're saying, this woman was released since August of this year, and Mosley speaking to him in November, and he claiming no, she was not released. That is what he claiming, that she was not released. How could he not know that this woman, and therefore the question is asked by me, whether this is corruption or incompetence or a combination of both? Because I would have thought, I have never been a prison officer. My major was management. But I would have thought in a position as senior as that, the director of prison would have some type of matrix which tells him perhaps every year who coming out next year, who the high profile prison releasing in this month, that month, right down to the date. so that the date before the release, you would know that tomorrow this person has been released, that person has been released. And I would have thought that when you see that, whoever compiles it, because I don't expect the director to personally compile the remissions and all of that. You get staff who are going to do it. But I would expect at some stage, before he signs off, the director will make sure that the calculations are correct. You can't delegate that at the end of the day, because if they come to you and they tell you, say, BB Gopal is to be released on the 28th of August, one would have thought that you would have looked at the file, whether it's electronic file or whatever, and you would have ensured that the computations and the calculations are correct. But this woman is released in August of 2023. And in November of the same year, when you're asked by a journalist about the release, he's denying, said, no, the woman is not released, she's still in the prison system. And that, to me, that is not incompetence, that is clear corruption. And on this program, we speak about exposing corruption, incompetence. That has to be corruption. We can forgive and we can perhaps understand a slight mistake, but for him not to have known, that's the part that I want to make. Forget about the miscalculations and all of that for a moment. Yeah, that can be done. There are no maths. There are no sums because there's not maths. They don't know to add. They don't know to subtract. They know to divide. Forget about that for a moment. I am saying for him not to have known because he said he didn't know that this person was released. That to me is corruption. And that renders him unsuited for the post. That is my opinion. CC said he knows him. I don't know the gentleman. I don't know the gentleman, but I am dealing with issues as I see it. Again, I say, for the director of prison to say 2 months after, more than 2 months after, to a journalist that he denied that the woman is released since August, that to me is corruption. That to me renders him unsuited for the position. And let me take this time to compliment Gordon Mosley. Y'all listen to the clip that I played a while ago, and Gordon Mosley, to me, to my mind, did an excellent job, unlike what some of these so-called journalists would do, because he was able to confront the director with facts from the parole board, Debbie Kumar, that no, this matter never came to us, because he does, first he said, no, she wasn't released. Then when confronted with the fact that she was released, he said, well, it's the parole board. Gordon Mosley had already spoken to the parole board people, and they said they didn't know about the matter. But he confronted her. He danced again. He said, well, the time they take out for remission, and take out that, and they take out that, and the time came for her to be released. This is the same man who, during the same interview, said that he did not know that she was out of prison for over 2 months. But now he's saying that when the calculations were done, she was eligible to be released. If that is not corruption, if that doesn't say that this person is not suited for the job, I don't know what else would. I made some other notes. Let me say this. And I said this comes closely after the escape of Ryden Williams, Carl Smalley, from the Mazaruni prison in May this year. Remember, was this escape? Ryden Williams was a convicted prisoner. He was there, multiple counts of murder, condemned, not only convicted, condemned, sentenced to death. He's on death row at Mazaruni. The prison laws of Guyana says that when a prisoner is on death row, only the director of prison can permit visits to him. In this case, Smalley had a visit from some Spanish-speaking woman, they say, and the director, up to now, as I'm aware, couldn't say whether he authorized this visit. And he had a press conference there with the Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson-Ben. By the way, Robeson-Ben still about, because I'm not hearing from him or about him, so we got to check to see if he's still about. He had this disastrous press conference in the heels of Smalley's escape, and he danced. 3 persons, I think 3 or 4 persons, including 3 prison officers, are charged for conspiracy in that matter. They were denied bail. I think subsequently they got bail. And the man who the law says is the one to give permission, you don't hear nothing, whether he give permission or what, you're not hearing about that. So this BB Gopal case now comes closely on the heels of that. Something must be wrong in the system. Something must be wrong. And the Minister of Home Affairs should be made to say what is wrong. And don't forget, I need to remind you that the substantive director of prison, Gladwin Samuels, is parked somewhere in Brigham. Since 2020, when the government came to office, they sidelined him. They put him somewhere in Brigham to sit down in some office and to do nothing. Problem. So you got a substantive director. As far as I know, Mr. Elliott is the acting director. But the man, as we would say, the man shitting big. The man is shiting big. Something is wrong with the system. And let me say, this is not now, Not now. The prison system has had problems over the years. And they don't seem to be able to deal with it. I remember, some of you might remember the older ones, that they had to take an assistant commissioner, serving assistant commissioner, Cecil Kilkenny, to make him director of the prison. And more recently, when Mr. Erskine retired from the prison service, Dale Erskine, they had to take a retired assistant commissioner of police to head the prison service. And he was ably assisted by someone from the army, I think it was a major or lieutenant colonel, went there to senior management. So it seems as though there are serious problems in that organization. And this should be the catalyst. This B.B. Gopal matter should be the catalyst for all the shake-up and all the changes that should take place. Because it is unacceptable that the director of prison is there acting or whatever and report to this nation through the journalists that this woman has not been released 2 months after she's out in the place, and according to the news, she was trying to reintegrate herself in society. And this calculation that they're talking about, the CCJ ruling was clear, Let me I got something. Let me tell you what the CCJ said. And I quote in here, he said, in all the circumstances, a just and proportionate sentence is 30 years imprisonment with no eligibility for parole before the expiration of 15 years. From this sentence, the period of 5 years will be deducted for the time spent in custody while on remand, with the practical consequences that from the date of conviction in 2015, Gopal will spend a maximum of 25 years in prison. They made it clear that the 15 years they're talking about was from the time she was convicted. And the dancer said, well, the time she was remanded, nothing to do with remand, was the time when she was convicted, I think, in 2015. And the dance, and this thing, I waited to see what will happen. I say that, as my colleague said, there got to be a thorough investigation into this matter from credible persons. That is whitewashing like the COI, like the Majesty COI, and other investigations they have had. You need a credible investigation. And let me say further, I asked the question, some people have asked it on the program, how many persons have been prematurely released from the prison? All of that should be investigated now. How many persons have been prematurely released? And the last question I want to ask is, what was the motivation for the premature release? What was the motivation? Is it that somebody sees you, tell you, well, look, do some magic calculation for this lady to come out? Or is it that somebody said Jackie Opel came into the picture? For the younger ones who don't know who is Jackie Opel, Jackie Opel was a singer who sang a very famous song named You Got to Pay. You got to pay. So when you hear Jackie Opel, you're referring to maybe someone had to pay. So I am saying that I'm asking the question, what was the motivation? Did somebody pay? And then when you look at all the remissions that they claim, 90 days for making mass and further remissions to make sure they do the magic and to say that she can be released in August of 2023. To me, that stinks of corruption. And I see again, before I bring in my colleague, the fact that the director of prison denied that this woman was released is sufficient evidence to me that corruption is involved and somebody must be made to answer. And again, I ask, where is the Minister of Home Affairs, under whose ministry the prison service falls? Where is he in all of this? He has been silent. He has been quiet. Is he still around? That's a question to be asked. Is he still around? The last time I saw a picture of him was outside when a man was shot and killed by St. George's. And before that is when he went on the anniversary route march in July with his back down clothes. That is the last time. Those are the last two occasions I recall seeing him. See, let me hear you wind up on this scandalous event.
The question I want to, how many more Gopals we've had? How many more persons have been released illegally based on what they call miscalculation? And the director of prison can't escape blame. When you're in command, you are in command. And as you already said, it's a bit of matrix telling you, hey, in December, this high-profile person going to come out. In November, this person going to come out. And then if you're going to come to you and say this person, you have to see the calculation. Not that you don't trust people, but it's high profile. And as our commission used to say, Paul Rambo, Larry used to say that you are responsible for everything above your signature. You are responsible for everything above your signature. And certain things as a commander, you can't delegate. You got to hug it. And you got to hug it with you, carry it with you. No deputy or no assistant carry it. You, the person has got to take, you have got to take the responsibility. When you're in command, you are in command. And I repeat, you are responsible for everything above your signature. You can't say it wasn't me, buddy. No way. And they have an opportunity now to shake up that prison. I remember years ago when they had an inquiry. I think Desmond Haidt was the president, and he didn't do it. He said he couldn't afford the hemorrhage. But for me, if the blood got to flow, if you got to get bloodletting, let there be bloodletting so that we have a properly run prison.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. Something got to be done. Something. There's too many incidents. And as you ask the right question, how many more persons are out? And maybe you got run-ins going on. Maybe you have run-ins where you can pay to get remission, and people got to look to see the old system of remission, because based on their calculation, this woman got about 7 years in remission. 7 years. Imagine that. That's almost 50% of our sentence, because she was sentenced to 15 and they take off 7, right? So almost 50% remission. Something is wrong. And let me say this. I got a strong belief that people involved in this thing, big people, and this poor boy, and I'm giving you that benefit, just decide that he gonna try to do some magical calculations to meet certain demands which may have been made by certain people. No, well, not demand, request may have been made. Make the request and the man turn Houdini. The man did all sort of magic calculation to say that the woman out. And then again I say, when confronted, the man denied. That alone makes him guilty in my mind. The fact that you deny that the woman has been released and caught with your pants down, that alone is sufficient evidence to nail you to the cross. And not literally, no. So don't get, and I said that you must be nailed to the cross. I'm speaking figuratively, right? So something is wrong in that system. Something is wrong. Something. And let's wait to see what will happen. Because I know these things are swept easily under the carpet. These things are swept because we have, they think Guyanese have a short attention span, and therefore they sweep it under the carpet, and then next week, the week before, something else comes up, and you forget about Gopal. And we should have said that sometime last week, she was taken back to the prison to continue to serve the remainder of her time. I am not sure who's going to calculate the remainder, because it is clear that the people in the system are incapable of calculating. At least they know to some track. So now that they have to add, let's hope they can add properly. They now have to add in the time, so let's hope they can do that. But it's a real scandalous situation, real scandalous. And before we, it's 1 hour, almost hour and a half already. Let me just say, we said a few weeks ago, let me bring in CC for here if he has to say anything else on this scandalous thing. CC, anything else you want to say on that before we move on?
Or maybe they can multiply too, because when we look in the children's exercise book, they had 3 12s as 26, so perhaps they're using that kind of calculation to think, so everything will be fine.
And as we say, that maths is sums. They can't do sums. They
Yeah.
can't do mental arithmetic and all of this everything that I did when I went to school. Now,
I agree with you, Paul.
yeah, let me say this. I saw in today's Kaichon News an article there. Perhaps you can deal with it on Wednesday. But I thought I'll mention it because we have been calling on this program. There's this matter with this doctor who is accused of raping this Venezuelan national. There's an article again in today's Kaichon News about it. I encourage you to read it. Because this man, they claim he seems to be connected in the elite circles of Guyana. He has no name. So all the releases to get this doctor name is not mentioned. No wanted bulletin for him. But the police are saying that the man is evading arrest and he's running all over the place. And the police are giving him special treatment in that no wanted bulletin has been issued for him and they have not published his name. And we have been saying on this program all the time that they have been publishing names of suspected persons. And we're not saying that because he's a suspect, his name should be published. We're saying that because he has been evading arrest, according to them, that is sufficient grounds for a wanted bulletin to be issued for him. And we have a case too, coming back to the fact-finding mission. The PPP said Bork has been charged. Bork has not set foot in this country for 25 years. This man lives in Guyana. So why are you in charge him? Why have you not charged him? You have charged other persons who behind the back, so to speak, who you have never spoken to, have never arrested, allegation has never been put to them, the charge in them before the court. So why the special treatment for this doctor? And that is why, in the release from the fact-finding mission, they spoke about the rule of law. And I will continue to say that the rule of law, as is accepted by the wider society, international society, does not exist in Guyana. Because the rule of law says all citizens should be treated equally under the law. And we have clear evidence where people are not treated equally. So when they talk about human rights violation, we must remind them too about Dharamlal. That's a human rights violation. And that shows corruption in the system, where Dharamlal was accused of grooming, raping, and bothering a 16-year-old indigenous girl. And again, magic done between the police and the DPP, and Dharamlal is not to be charged. So we get a case here, magic again. Woman sentenced to 25 years. She must serve 15 before she is eligible for parole. And some magic calculations. And she got a lot of magic taking place in this country. Houdini and all his Blaine and all his magicians are at work. So yeah, now in closing, let me tell you, we haven't spoken yet about this Venezuelan issue, which continues to be a pressing issue. We don't have much time, but for the next minute or two, just want to let you know that we have been continuing our protest in front of the Venezuelan embassy. Last Thursday, when we were there from 10 o'clock, we were joined by quite a few other persons, not a large group, but other persons joined to express their concern about what this saber rattling by Venezuela. And we plan to be there tomorrow again. We have court at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We plan to be there from 10 o'clock. We're going to finish, and then we're going to go to court. We're not giving up, no mountain. We're not giving up this fight with Venezuela and this spurious claim. Because remember, the referendum is just a few weeks away from now, the Venezuelan referendum, which seeks to annex Essequibo, which seeks to make Essequibo, our Essequibo, another state of Venezuela, which seeks to seek permission to issue Venezuelan identification card to Guyanese who are living in Essequibo. We have got to continue to highlight this matter. And we continue to say, I continue to say, I don't think we are doing enough fast enough. Yeah, education, we talk about education. The pamphlets are being, so I hope they're circulated. I haven't seen any being circulated. Bumper stickers are there. And I understand that those bumper stickers were there long ago. Long ago, the bumper stickers were the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They shared it out. Now they are sharing out bumper stickers. But that is a beginning. They have more they need to do, much more they have to do. We talk about billboards. We talk about radio programs. I don't know what they're waiting for. We talk about demonstrations, rallying, support. Because of people have said, and as Ralph Ramkran said last Monday, this thing is to be taken seriously. I know the chief of staff and other people, government people say, no need to be alarmed. Ralph Ramkran, who knows about this issue, said in all the years he has been involved, this is the most serious this issue is. And I don't think the government is doing enough. We need to see billboards with the map of Guyana. As we know it, you need to share out T-shirts and things like that with the map of Guyana. We need to have slogans so that people can be educated, people can be sensitized to what is going on. Enough is not being done. Enough is not being done. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we will be in front of the Venezuelan embassy in Thomas Street, between Church Street and Communal Street. We'll be there again. We will be there again. The Venezuelans will normally come out from the embassy, take videos and take photographs of us. We're not going to be, I don't think they intend to intimidate, but we're not going to be intimidated. We are going to continue to turn out and lend support to this issue and to say we are not compromising with our territorial integrity. We're not going to do like the second vice president and wanted to give up a piece, right? We are not going that route. We are saying all 83,000 square miles belongs to us. And we are going to continue to show that from the mountaintop. Let me bring in my colleague for him to wrap up. CC, a wrap for you, please.
All right. And just like you, we're not giving up anything. Not a drop of water from the Pomeroon, the Cayenne, the Mazroni, the Potaro, the Rupununi, the Borimo, the Waini, the Yarakito, just name it, not a drop. The Moro Passage, not a drop done. We intend to continue our protests, and I still holding out. I'm still expecting to hear the president address the nation and giving us guidelines, giving us vision in terms of how we should approach this Venezuelan situation. But we continue our protests. For even just me and you alone, we will go there on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, on any day that we feel that we should go on. And you talk about ID card. Somebody sent me ID card with the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, with a Guyanese ID card with all the features. Only thing the date of birth is the 1899. So anything could happen with ID cards. And you mentioned that the police not giving releases, Paul, but they're giving some releases which are unethical. Over the weekend, I saw releases about Deputy Commissioner Brutus, Deputy Commissioner Bodram. I'm going to make it plain again that there's only one Deputy Commissioner in this Guyana Police Force, and this Deputy Commissioner, Dr. Paul Williams. The others, Hikin, Brutus, Bodram, Karimbash, all of them, they are assistant commissioners. Is the president has got to appoint deputy commissioner and commissioner after meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition and the chairman of the Police Service Commission, who would have consulted with our members. And then on another episode, I'm going to talk about the dilemma the president is facing in terms of the appointment of deputy commissioner and commissioner. And I wish to close off here.
Thank you, my brother. Have enjoy the remainder of Diwali, and we meet tomorrow in front of the Venezuelan embassy, and then we head to court to hear what the decision is, whether the matter is going to continue or not. So have a safe remainder of the day. Folks, I normally say to you that you need to be safe and stay safe. Road accidents, we haven't touched on that. I see a gruesome accident occurred yesterday morning somewhere across the river. You have a spate of accidents. When we meet again on Wednesday, because we're going to be here on Wednesday, God's Spare Life, to talk again about issues. We have so many things to talk about. As I said, the time just runs out very, very quickly. So until we meet again on Wednesday, stay safe. And as we have promised, we're going to end with, not end, but we're going to have not a blade of grass. Listen in.
We are a peaceful people, struggling, we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces